Is everybody able to see that screen? I just shared my screen with everyone.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I'm just going to give it 2 more minutes and then we can start. Thank you for your patience.
Just one quick question. Will this presentation be emailed to the people who RSVP'd by chance?
Yes, I think we can do that. Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, all the information as per regulations, the EDC will be posted in the website for the RSP, like attendance and questions, and the presentation itself will be there.
Excellent. Even better.
Okay, folks, I think we can begin. Let's not punish all the people who
Can't hear you.
for the sake of those who are not here yet.
Can't hear you. Cannot hear you.
Can everyone hear me?
I can.
Yes.
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 Yes, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining. Good morning. My name is David Hughes. I'm the Executive Director of Markets for EDC. And today we are talking about the La Marqueta Community Partner RFP. This is an information session. In terms of agenda for today's meeting, I just wanted to go through it very quickly. As I said,
Can't hear anything. Cannot hear anything.
is everyone else having the same problem?
I can hear you.
No, we
No, I can hear you
We
too.
can all hear you.
We can hear
All
you.
good. All good.
Folks, just in terms of table setting for today, if everyone can mute their Zoom setting, just put yourself on mute so the speaker is the only one. There you go. Speaker's the only one speaking. It'll be a lot easier to hear. I'm just going to quickly call out the agenda for today. We have an hour and a half for this meeting. It may not run for 90 minutes, but we shall see depending on your questions. The agenda today is as follows. We will certainly have introductions from EDC so we can introduce the team from our side who's on and the players there. We're going to talk a little bit about the public markets in general, the background and mission as it stands today. I'm also going to just talk a little bit about what makes a good public market. I think it's worth calling that out in light of this RFP. And then we'll focus on La Marqueta. Yesenia will talk a little bit about the market in general. We will discuss its current status versus its future status, because there is redevelopment plans for La Marqueta. We'll also talk a little bit about the organizational structure or the governance structure of La Marqueta. And then we'll focus on the community partner RFP and the specific role and responsibility that we are looking for from this ideal candidate. And lastly, but not leastly, we'll talk a little bit about market redevelopment. There are a lot of things afoot at La Marqueta right now, and I just wanted to call them out because I think it will help each one of you to submit a more a market plan or a proposal that's more aligned with redevelopment as we know it today. And lastly, we'll welcome your questions. As an aside, we'll also have in the chat of the Zoom, feel free to write your questions into the chat as we go forward. We can also collect all of those towards the end and we will address each question as you write them in. I would ask you to hold all your questions until the end of this presentation. If there are clarifying questions you have in terms of something on the slide you don't understand, I think it's fine to call that out in the moment and ask that question so it doesn't get lost. And without further ado, I'll just start off on number one in terms of introductions. Again, my name is David Hughes. I'm the Executive Director of Markets for EDC. I have worked for EDC for almost 4 years now. And prior to that, I worked for Grow My Seed Green Market and did many good and wonderful things for that organization as well. And on the call with me is Jasenia Cagle. Want to say hi, Jasenia?
Yeah, hi everybody. Like David said, my name is Jasenia Cagle. I'm the market manager for La Marqueta. I've been with EDC like 3.5 years. And prior to working for EDC, as David, I used to work for the green markets as a regional coordinator for Queens. So I have like ample experience on like tenanting and like community relations and food background. So that's me. And like David said, like I'm gonna be like redacting all your questions. If you have any, just put them on the comments, and then at the end we can address them all and answer your questions. If the time runs out, which I doubt it, but if it runs out, we'll answer them offline. And all these questions are, like I said, the presentation and the attendance sheet will be online on the website, so you won't miss it. Okay.
Thanks, Jasenia. Are there any questions before we start? General questions? Okay, I'm going to jump in. So, New York City's public markets. Just to give you some context here in terms of table setting here and just talking about public markets in general, as many of you know, they harken back to the 1930s, Depression era America. There were a lot of on the streets of New York City. And in the 1930s, Mayor LaGuardia really moved to move them off the street, create a more kind of regulated marketing structure for the pushcart peddlers of New York City. Thus began the public markets. And there were many of them. I mean, there's still echoes of them around the city. I think there's one on First Avenue and 8th Street still. And they were vibrant, bustling community hubs. They certainly personified local neighborhoods. I believe they still do today. And for many small businesses, they were economic dynamos. They've changed jurisdiction over the years. Department of Markets had them for a spell. Department of Ports and Terminals also managed them. EDC took them over in the early 1990s, and we are currently managing New York City's public markets. They are not without their challenges. Certainly, we've put a lot of work and thought into this over the last few years, but it is a disparate network in many regards. They're not very well known in the city. There's limited foot traffic in some of these markets and a large number of vacancies. And vendors struggle. That's a fact. Certainly vendors struggle in some of these markets. So these are the 6 markets that we currently manage. Just to call them out by name, the colors here, you'll see the red ones are tenant managed markets. That's Arthur Avenue, Jamaica Farmers Market in Queens, 13th Avenue Market in Brooklyn, that's Borough Park. It's also known as Gourmet Glatt. Those are tenant managed. And then the directly managed markets that EDC directly manage, meaning we have on-site market managers at these markets. La Marqueta, of course, in East Harlem. Essex Market on the Lower East Side, which is a fairly well-known market. And Moore Street Market in East Williamsburg. So that's the 6 markets presently in our portfolio. Our mission really, in a sentence, is to showcase each community's unique character while serving its everyday shopping needs. It's worth saying that again. Showcase each community's unique character while serving its everyday shopping needs. These markets are all individual, unique. They're all in different parts of the city. They have different clientele. But we have 3 tenets that we apply to all of them. We believe public markets should preserve and support small businesses. We believe public markets preserve authentic cultural heritage. And we believe they should provide access to affordable, healthy food. Those are the 3 principles that guide us in terms of the portfolio of public markets presently. We've put a lot of thought into revitalizing these markets, how we approach that work. In 2018, we hired a consultant. We've actually hired many consultants over the years since I've been onboarded. But we could really distill it down into kind of 3 action steps that we're thinking about in terms of public markets strategy: branding and marketing, expanding and investing in the portfolio in terms of infrastructure, and developing capacity building strategies for vendors. 3 very important things. Just to unpack those for you a little bit. What does it mean for La Marqueta? Now, as I said, it's a network, and we certainly like to think of it as a family. There is a global brand, but La Marqueta is also a unique market in and of itself. And for it to be successful, it should certainly reflect the community that surrounds it and thrive in place as such. So in terms of marketing and branding, we spent a lot of time in the last year and a half with a consultant. We've rebranded the public markets. We've created a new logo for the portfolio. We've launched a website. We had a media plan in the fall of last year. We had a citywide ad campaign, radio ads, TV ads, all with the express intention of raising the profile of public markets across the city. And that work will continue, and it'll run in parallel to the community partners' work on the ground. We certainly envision a global approach to the public markets profile and branding, but also a localized approach. And the community partner fits into that localized approach. But in terms of marketing and branding, just to call out these bullets, I mean, certainly it's additive and supplemental for the local grassroots efforts. It elevates the citywide visibility of the public markets brand across the portfolio. Back-end support for events and programming and marketing. So what I'm saying here in this slide is basically, this is the global approach to it, but also, as I said, with community partners supplementing on the ground initiatives, it will drive success and awareness for La Marqueta. In terms of expansion and investing, we've spent a lot at La Marqueta. We're certainly going to spend a lot more money in the next 5+ years. Right now, we have capital work in place at Arthur Avenue. We are moving forward with capital improvements at Moore Street. We just opened Essex a couple of years ago to great success. La Marqueta is on the foot of major changes, which is all exciting. And we're going to also, we are continually thinking about vendors in these markets, how to make it easier for them to enter and to thrive and to be successful. That will certainly reduce vacancies. We're going to upgrade on-site amenities. This is ongoing work. And it's, a substantial investment on the part of EDC into these markets, and it will continue. And then in terms of strategies, there's an entity, and I'll talk about that in a little while later in the slide. We are continually thinking about public markets, La Marqueta, how we can make it a more successful market. What can we do to attract new customers, preserve the existing customers? How can we help vendors increase sales? How can we help them be more profitable? And that's ongoing work. It's part of what our team does every day and every week. We'll also work, we envision working with this selected community partner on strategies for La Marqueta in concert with the advisory group Friends of La Marqueta, which I will get to shortly. But that's iterative work, it's collaborative work, and it certainly will be part of what the community partners' role we envision going forward as well. Just to call out for the sake of it, it's worth mentioning here in terms of, what is a good public market? There are many of them across the country. Each of them have their challenges, of course, but they also have their successes. A good public market is an engaging public space that energizes and socializes neighborhood. They are economically viable. They should be economically viable, both for the vendors and also for the operator and manager. They support small nascent business. think we do that quite well at La Marqueta presently with the Incubator Center. We encourage entrepreneurship. Again, you know, there is that pipeline at La Marqueta from incubator kitchens. We'd like to develop that into a connection between standalone retail spaces, small businesses coming into an incubator kitchen, trying out a new product, and then graduating into their own standalone retail space. We've had some success at La Marqueta with that. We can have more. A good public market is a vibrant community hub. And you know, La Marqueta certainly is that. I mean, it is, you know, it's a shadow of its former self. I will grant you that. We have a lot of work to do up there. But, you know, the Plaza, La Placita, which is just going to open in the fall, and we'll show you pictures of that shortly, is a great space for that. We've had amazing events at La Marqueta. The role of this community partner is really to develop and expand on that good work, to create regular programming, to create a calendar of events, to continue to attract the community to La Marqueta. A good public market certainly should attract a diverse clientele. East Harlem is a changing neighborhood, and we wanted to reflect all of those disparate communities. You know, that's the civic purpose of La Marqueta. You go there to do your shopping, but you also celebrate your culture there and your heritage. So we strive to be a diverse market. Of course, supporting community health and wellness is also a strong and tenet of a good public market. And then lastly, but not leastly, a good public market should reflect and embody the local community. When you're thinking about your proposals, please bear that in mind. Know the neighborhood, know who your audience is, because we need to be a community hub for that community. I'm going to just go to slide 9. I think Jasenia is going to take this over and talk a little bit about just the landscape up there and what La Marqueta actually is.
Hello, everybody again. So La Marqueta, as you see in this slide, comprehends 10,000 square feet for each block that you see here. They comprehend from 111th Street to 109th Street. And like I said, each lot that you see is 10,000 square feet. You're gonna notice in the slide that we group them by lots. So we have from lot 1 to lot 8. Lot 1 currently is vacant. Last year we were using it as an event space because La Placita was under construction. But as it is right now, is a fencing space with electric, no water, and it's vacant for now. Looking forward to do something else with there eventually. Lot 2 and building 3, those are kind of attached to each other. Lot 2 is a parking and sanitation space for building 3. And building 3 is our incubator kitchen space, which comprehends of 3 kitchens. Kitchen 1, tenant there is Big Fish Candy. They do like chocolates and treats and things like that. We have kitchen 2, Little Green Gourmet, which they do school lunches. And kitchen 3, which David spoke a little bit about, Hope Kitchen is there with their incubator program, and they have over 100 businesses there right now. With the COVID-19, what we have like less traffic through there because we're trying to keep sanitation and like guidelines for COVID, but it's in working condition, and we have like 6 to 10 businesses working right now out of that one. Then you see building 4, which has currently the market space and also the HBK or Hopper Kitchen production kitchen. This is where Hopper Kitchen does their bread and produce their products to distribute it to Whole Foods and other places. We currently have, in the market side of things, 6 vendors. Among them, we have Elmer's in Harlem, Amuse Bouche, Sprinkle Splash, Mama Grace, Miss Bella's Groceries, and Vanessa Patisserie. So those are the 6 businesses we have there. We still have 5 vacancies that we need to fill out. And just to go back to what I said, all the spaces are 10 square feet for the space. The Hopper Kitchen space is like 4,600 in this building, and then the rest is for the market and common area spaces. Lot 5 is La Placita. Currently still in construction, projected to be completed in fall. We have like very little things that we had to finish and get the certificate of occupancy so we can actually utilize it. And this is a 6-level plaza. It's enclosed now with beautiful windows. It has a concession stand now, but as it is right now, and also have bathrooms right now. But like I said, it's not open yet, but it will be soon. Then we have lots 6 and 7, which are occupied by Urban Garden Center. He's been there since 2010 with us. And in lot 6, he has pretty much the bulk of the business, which is the greenhouse and the sale of plants. In lot 7, he utilizes this more for like storage and inventory and equipment in there. Then you'll see lot 8, which currently is occupied by NYPD as parking. And that's pretty much, in essence, the 8 lots. I think we can get to the next slide if nobody has any questions. So here the next slide, and I want to kind of like give a little background about this concept plan. This came about in 2017. EDC got together with stakeholders and community members to do a feasibility study that created this plan that I'm about to kind of explain to you. We already secure city capital. We also secure a construction manager for a year now. And we're working on getting a designer architect to kind of actually get this concept into fruition. We haven't chosen who's going to be, but we are in the process of that. We also worked very closely with friends of La Marqueta to kind of like help us out and kind of get more in depth of how these lots are gonna look going forward. So we have the current spaces as they are right now at the top, and as you see at the bottom. So for example, in lot 1, that is vacant right now, eventually we'll be moving Urban Garden Center to the same lot, and he'll be able to have a little bit more vertical space there. And then we'll have like his coffee space and his greenhouse and his like salad plants area and everything he needs for his space in lot 1. For lot 2, this is kind of like, this is not set in stone, but we thought it was a very good idea to have an outdoor recreation park, which consists of some retail component of like some container units that we can rent to some vendors that need some smaller space, not necessarily need a bigger space to sell the products. And then a park for the community that will, you know, could be like a dog run, place to sit, nice plants around so people can feel comfortable, since we don't have much of that in the East Harlem. That'd be like a little respite for people to come and kind of hang out. If you see building 3 and building 4, since as you see, they cannot share a big block, we want to turn them into a hybrid incubator retail space. So what that means is each building will have at least 2 big kitchens in which people can utilize it for production, but also we are allowing in front of these kitchens to have like 100 square feet of space, like maybe like 7 or 6 little stalls, in which some of these vendors that do production out of this kitchen could have a little space of retail, so they can sell the product not just like wholesale or outside the La Marqueta, but also in the same space where customers can come and interact with them and learn about the products and have a sitting, kind of enjoy the day, right? Then As you see, going forward in lot 5, La Placita, as I said, it's going to be completed by fall. In the public market, which is one of the most important parts of all this, right? Because we want to revitalize the space and we want to bring back La Marqueta in terms of like bringing retail back, supporting businesses in the local community. So we want to move it to 116th Street, and a couple things on that is because 116th Street is the most foot traffic street, is closer to the train station, and we think that it's going to be very successful there. We depends on the design. We might have from 20 to 23 stalls there. We're going to have refrigeration units for people to be able to rent and have their products refrigerated. We're going to have office space. We're going to have plenty of sitting area for people to come in the market and enjoy and spend the day there. In lot 7, we want to also do like a little hybrid. We want to convert it into parking space, but also seasonal outdoor market, like a farmer's market, mixed with maybe like artists selling their goods with also food. And that will be that space, but that will be only on the weekends. During the week, it will be a parking space. And as you see, the last lot is still set NYPD, because we're not sure yet at that point in time if they're just gonna be out of the space or not. They currently working on kind of getting a parking for themselves, but in the meantime, we're not touching the lot. We're just gonna let them use it for how long they need it, and in the future, if they ever gonna move to the new parking they're building, then we can create a plan to continue the lots and the redevelopment there. Any questions on the slides or anything that wasn't clear?
Thank you, Jasenia. Before I advance, I just want to say a couple of things. This is a lot of information to digest.
Yeah.
We understand this. Just to underscore, it's a concept plan that was created, and it's subject to change. And I will get into that in a little bit as well. But just to give you where we landed with redevelopment in terms of a year of feasibility study work, community engagement. This is where we landed. My hunch is this will probably change as we go forward with redevelopment for reasons I'll explain shortly. And we're really just calling it out to you because, the community partner will certainly be engaged with market promotion, market activation, the continuation of events as we go through all of these physical and structural changes at La Marqueta.
Hello, David.
Yes.
I have a few questions. This is Ruth. I'm looking at the parking. Is the parking going to be metered parking, or is it going to be free to the public parking?
Oh, don't know the answer to that, Ruth. I think that will, we were envisioning when this was hammered out, we need people to come to this public market. So it would be free parking for patrons of the public market and or events of public market.
Mm-hmm.
And we would, I don't want it to be paid parking.
Mm-hmm.
It's TBD really, but I think when we envision this, if this actually is the plan that goes forward, we go forward with, we want to encourage people to come and park and actually traverse these lots.
Exactly. So that was one of the things I was thinking about, because if it was metered or even free parking, it gives a lot more foot traffic, because people who live outside the city would then be able to come in and park their cars. And then I had a separate question regarding lot 1, which was vacant, which now might be coming to a garden center. Is there an opportunity to rent out the space for events and parties? So if the community had baby showers or, quinceañitas, if they needed an opportunity to use the space, is that available within the new spaces that you're creating?
I would say in the new iteration of lot 1, that is a garden center, it would be a lease held entity. So probably not, unless that the leaseholder was amenable to community engagement. And he certainly is now. So there is a possibility that we would there is a possibility that the answer to that question is yes, given its proximity to the housing there and future development.
Because when I look at lot 1, even though it's vacant, it's not too far off from some of the cooking labs that you have. So if there was some kind of partnership between the cooking labs and maybe some of the facilities to open up to rentals, that might be another option to increase some of the foot traffic and usage within some of these areas.
Correct.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just to zoom out, just Anne-Marie, you have a question? Anne?
It's Anne. Hi, everyone. I'm an attorney at EDC, and I have done a lot of work on Marqueta over the past 6 years. So I just wanted to jump in quickly. And one of the constraints that we have in planning for uses of the various lots at La Marqueta is that we have to make sure that all uses are consistent with what's called the New York State Agriculture and Markets Law. And what that says essentially is we can do anything related to food sale and retail and certain other ancillary uses. So to the point that was just made, it's always been challenging for us to just privately rent out space for events because it's not necessarily consistent with the mission of the market, except that obviously it does generate revenue, which is always something that the market can use and is well utilized there. But what we can do is look at ways in which those private events or those private uses could increase foot traffic and increase the mission of the market. And so to the extent we are using local vendors, to the extent we're promoting catering opportunities, to the extent we're making sure that we're generating economic successes and exactly foot traffic at the market, there is a teeny bit of flexibility. But it's a weird and it's a complicated legal structure, but it does a little bit tie our hands in what we are allowed to do in these spaces.
Is it possible for you to provide just a snippet of where that information is on the site or someplace so that anybody can look through it and see if there's any loopholes that can be used?
So unfortunately, it's not, I mean, I'm happy to provide the sections of the law that we have to follow. You'll see that they're pretty vague. And so a lot of it is just how this has been interpreted over the years by the city and how we put it together. But absolutely, we're happy to provide the text of the law, and we're happy to talk to people about how we've utilized it in the past and how we would expect to utilize it in the future at the market.
Thank you.
And thank you for that. I didn't recognize your name because it came up as Ann Martin on my screen. I apologize.
Ruth Barnett.
Yeah, here's the takeaway that I want the group to take away from this slide is, think of your proposal in terms of kind of two phases. There certainly is the current status and there's the future status. The future status is going to change. There are many, many wrinkles in the path forward here for future status, but your plan should certainly focus on what we have now in terms of current status, what we can activate now, how we can promote the market post-COVID, and future status redevelopment work. You'll be part and parcel of that process. It will be electeds, it will be Friends of La Marqueta, it will be EDC, it will be community partner, and it will be the Vendors Association, working together to hammer out this future status plan. That was my point. We'll come. I have another slide I want to show you that's kind of along the same lines, but I'm going to jump just to lead in for Jasenia. La Placita finished in the fall of 2020. What it might look like, or what if you haven't seen it.
So this is La Placita as it will look once we kind of open it. There's certain changes here because this is a little bit of an older design. So the windows that you see in yellow, they still like that. We don't have the arch, it's more like a square at the top. And the colors are like burgundy and like very like a teal blue, very pretty teal blue. We don't have the plants around it like that. But we do have a stage already installed. We have bleachers in the space. It's a 6-tier build. I don't want to call it building. It's La Placita. It is enclosed, but it's a 6-tier kind of plaza from 115th Street to 116th Street. And at the top on 116th Street, we built new bathrooms, which are beautiful and they're very functional and great. And also a concession stand that could be rented out to a tenant, and could be a coffee place, could be anything in there. And it's like that little space is 120 square feet of space, and it could be rented out. So we're very excited to have this unveiled to the community late in fall, and maybe do something socially responsible event to reopen this plaza and have it available for the community.
Thanks, Yesenia. And just to say very clearly, so the group can hear this, in terms of activation in the current status, La Placita is a 10,000 square foot lot. Yesenia just alluded to that. That's an event space that we can activate now, or post-COVID, I should say. The public market section of Building 4, 4,600 square feet public market activation space in here, yes. Events and programming in here, yes. Potentially Lot 1. We've used that in the past as a swing space for events and programming. It's not the greatest location, but it's a vacant lot with a fence right now, and potential activation here as well. So just to say that out loud to the group. Lot 1, Public Market Building 4, La Placita, Lot 5 are event and programming spaces presently at La Marqueta. Okay, just going to move forward just to talk a little bit about organizational structure. As part of that East Harlem neighborhood plan of 2018, and all of that great work we did with the electeds and the community regarding the feasibility study and redevelopment plans for La Marqueta, we also talked about governance structure, which is very important at La Marqueta. And I just wanted to talk through it via this slide. The broken line on the diagram here is showing you liaison relationships, and the solid line is a more direct relationship where there's a kind of a boss telling a subordinate, as it were, or a collaborator telling a coworker direct orders. But we have at the very top of this chain, we have the City of New York is the owner of La Marqueta. EDC is the sponsor and manager in the blue box of La Marqueta. Sponsor in the sense that we set the strategic direction for La Marqueta. We also manage the day-to-day facility operations of the site. To the right of that blue box is the advisory committee, namely the Friends of La Marqueta, which is now a established independent third-party nonprofit organization that we are working with presently, and working very closely on redevelopment with them. They are helping us with strategy. They're helping us with tenanting of the existing public market, and really the high-level visioning and strategic plan for the market overall is their present role, and they've been very helpful in that regard. To the left of the EDC sponsor management box, we have the La Marqueta Vendor Association. I'm happy to announce that I believe it's in the process of finally forming, which is good news. And it really represents the interests of the vendors at La Marqueta. Again, it's a liaison relationship with EDC. They provide support. They share their concerns with us. We have regular meetings with the vendors. Yesenia leads those meetings, and they will continue. And then just moving down from the sponsor management box to the on-site, we have an on-site market manager, of course. EDC that's a paid role, of course, on site. That's Yesenia right now. Day-to-day management of a enormous 80,000 square foot market, 8 lots. We also have an operations team on site, porters. They are responsible for the garbage and the maintenance and the sanitation and all the day-to-day operations of the site. There are also third-party personnel that we employ to do security and other supplemental maintenance work at La Marqueta. And then just moving over to the pink boxes and what we envision for this community partners role here, really spearheading promotions, programming, and creative services on site at market. In this schematic, we envisioned a full-time on-site community events manager as part of this funded contract with the community partner. We have this at Essex. We're working towards it at Moore Street. It's been very successful at Essex. You need that on-site day-to-day person on the ground. It doesn't have to be full-time. It probably, funding may not permit that, but even part-time, that person can be the point of contact on-site for day-to-day operations, events, and programming. I think it's crucial for success. We also envisioned a part-time, and EDC, always had the intention of funding or partly funding the vendor association. We do that at Essex. We are moving towards that at Moore Street. We would like to do the same thing at La Marqueta. And that would be another supplemental part-time on-site staffer that would work with vendors directly and address their needs and concerns on a day-to-day basis. So I hope this helps in terms of framing the organizational structure and how the community partner fits into this overall structure. Just to unpack that slide a little bit, just to call out some bullets here. Again, BDC is sponsor and manager, is in overseeing property management. We certainly do all the leasing, recruitment for vendors, selection at market. We are also working in concert with the community partner for the master plan for marketing, events, and programming at La Marqueta. And that would be a liaison, relationship. Well, I would say a direct relationship with the community partner. It would be a weekly engagement, not a daily engagement, as we work towards creating that plan and all of the nuts and bolts that goes with that. We'd also help, in terms of additional funding. We would certainly be amenable to that for this community partner. There is the flat base contract, but there will also be ancillary expenses such as printing and advertisements that will come from a separate budget, and we are amenable to those additional expenses. EDC is also always very much focused on long-term planning, thinking ahead, looking at the future improvements for market. Friends, as that advisory group on this schematic, Friends over here, are certainly advisors on vendor selection and curation. They've been very helpful in that regard presently and continue to be. We're also working very closely with them on market redevelopment. There's a lot of work to do there. And also business development. These are all very well-seasoned professionals on this board who know East Harlem better than I do and have some really wonderful ideas in terms of business development and opportunities that they share with us. And they'll continue, and they will also work in concert with this community partner. The community partner is more of an action-oriented entity. They really are in charge of the day-to-day marketing, events, and programming. You are creating those calendared events. You're executing on those calendared events. You're marketing those events. You're measuring the success of those events, and you're promoting those events as you go forward. Just to say it in 6 bullets, I think, in terms of role and responsibility, we envision this community partner doing these 6 core tasks. They are responsible for branding. La Marqueta has an existing brand. Changing that is something that we're, amenable to, and it's worked very well for us. And but what I mean by branding here is, working in concert with the global public markets brand, making sure that we're aligned on that, and also working to promote the existing La Marqueta brand. There's a substantial amount of work to do there for La Marqueta. Marketing, of course, is key for this role. Promoting events, actively posting ads, word of mouth, flyers. Digital media, I would envision this being, the community partner is in charge of social media and internet. We have a website right now, publicmarkets.nyc. There is a web page for La Marqueta. We presently update that, EDC updates that. But the community partner would certainly be in charge of the social media accounts for La Marqueta. We have a Facebook account presently at La Marqueta. We don't have Twitter and we do not have Instagram. And it's a capacity building thing for us. It's just, we don't have capacity, but we do envision a community partner actively using those channels or creating those channels to promote events and programming and the brand and the message of La Marqueta. Of course, events and programming is key here, creating a plan for the year, a month-by-month calendar of events and programming, working in concert with Friends of La Marqueta, working in concert with EDC to create that, and of course the vendors. Public relations, making sure that the market sits well in the neighborhood, that we are engaged with the community, and we are addressing their concerns. And then measuring that. I mean, that's a key part of this. These are all the inputs. Like, what are the outputs, and how do we measure that? And how do we collate that? And is there a success here? And what's the increased customer base? What's the increased social media followers? What's our goal to do that? Thinking through all of that and measuring that success, I think, is a very key component of this of the community partners' role. Just some pictures to kind of show you what that again might look like. You certainly should visit the Public Markets website. It won't be the community partners' role to update that site, but it will be the community partners' role to make sure the page is actually current and events and important timely information is posted there. So that would be collated and shared with EDC. Digital ads, again, we would think about online presence, and EDC would work in concert with a community partner to execute on that. But this just to give you a flavor of what we've done to date. Very important, these are actually bilingual. It's a Spanish-speaking neighborhood, so we should actually reflect that in our digital ads and our print ads. I think one thing that has been very successful, and we'd like to, really create cadence on this, is our mailers. And creating a standalone La Marqueta mailer where it goes directly to residents in and around La Marqueta, and they are enticed to come to shop with specific call out discounts from individual vendors. That would be something the community partner would own and drive. Those templates, by the way, were created by our previous consultants. So we actually have the collateral and the artwork and the branding in place. It's just a matter of content right now. Newsletters, I think it's very key. We've sent out some newsletters, but we don't have a regular cadence there in terms of market news and building that distribution list and attracting readers and followers to La Marqueta. Community partner would be very much engaged with them monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly, depending on content and need of a newsletter going out. This could be print, this could be an email distribution. It could also be a printed handout that people could pick up at market. Again, we've created a brand for that and a template. It just needs to be populated. Local ads, again, we would work in concert with the community partner to create those, but it's something that the community partner would think about. These were ads we put on Link NYC stands across the city. Some were in the neighborhood of East Harlem to promote the La Marqueta market. Funding for this, again, would come separately from the 150, but we would expect a community partner to be thinking about this as well in terms of marketing. How do we promote La Marqueta? Just to go back to that slide, think of your six key tasks. And then I do not want to get into the weeds on this slide, but I just wanted to call it out to you. I think it's important that you are aware of this. Again, we did speak about our current status. We did allude to the future status. But MTA are also in the process of, I guess you would say, improving or repairing the viaduct above La Marqueta. It's the overhead Amtrak railway that's above the market. And what we know to date is that there is a critical area in this work, which is 115th Street North in red here. This is a very critical area for them, and they will need to actually remove the existing viaduct, insert and replace that viaduct. That's pretty dramatic in terms of work and invasive. We know that this work was tentatively slated to start in 2023. South of that, in the blue box, that's from 115th Street South, which again is from building 4 to lot 1. They are telling us that this section of the viaduct does not need to be replaced. It's more light remedial work, painting, repairing cracks. That work is slated to start in 2022, I believe, if not sooner. It won't be as invasive. They envision it being 18 plus months. I don't want to say anything too conclusive here because there's a lot we have to hammer out, but I just want you to hear that it's going to impact the future status plans and how we approach this work and how we phase this work will be strongly impacted by MTA's work. And we're presently in the throes of working through that with them, trying to understand their calendar, when they'll start, how it impacts La Marqueta, where we could possibly begin. So there's a lot to unpack there and a lot to think through. And it's 2+ years out, I would imagine, but that's going to come quickly for us. But I'm just calling it out to the group here so they hear that and understand that don't get too hung up on this being set in stone. I think it'll, in terms of use, we want to preserve this use concept here, but where these ultimately land and where we start will change. That's probably more information than we need to go into right now, but I will leave it in the deck. But I think what you need to think about is just current status, the short term. We envision this being a 3-year contract for this community partner RFP. So the majority of this work will not even have started. So the focus of this proposal should certainly be on current status and what's possible in terms of activation. And then also thinking through if this remedial work is starting 18 months to 24 months out, what that may look like and how it may impact community partner work in terms of events and promotions. And, I'm not expecting this group to have the answers to that, but you should certainly think and be aware of that as you submit your proposals and your master plan. And, I would say also that community partner would be very much engaged and brought along in this process as we talk with MTA and work towards redesign. That concludes the presentation, everyone. And I know we have questions, and I think the best way to start this right now is maybe for Jasenia to actually read the questions that were submitted, and we can address those first. And if there are additional questions, we can address those after.
Hello, everybody. So I did get in advance some questions that I want to go over first, and then I'm just going to address the ones that you all submitted in the chat right now, okay? And also, I want to say to those that joined the call, but I don't have your information because I didn't get an email from you, please go to the information that I just put on the chat, and I send you the project email, so you can send me your name, your company, email, and phone number. If you're ready, send me an email and I have your information. Don't worry about it. This is for people that I just don't have that information. So thank you. So let's start with the questions that I got in advance. So the first question that one of you asked was, do we need to supply all the services requested to the bid, or if you just have one, it's okay? I specialize in branding, so that is what my bid would be focused on. So you necessarily don't have to have all the services requested. We're looking for a community partner that will have the most, and that community partner is allowed with our approval to do some contracting for some services. So they will be in charge of like whatever services they are needed. They will be in charge of hiring the services, paying for those services, and all that. So there is a potential for an organization or company that only offers one service to be paired with the community partner to do that service, if that's the case. The second question, has there been a market partner selected in the past? Is the current RFP an extension of that position? Last year, we did try to put a small purchase for this community partner position, but we didn't choose a partner at that time for many other reasons. So we decided to have a more competitive and, include more agencies and organizations in the area. We decided to put it out again. So no, we do not have currently a partner, and this is the first time we're doing it like more officially as an RSP to give more opportunity to everybody. Is the community partner responsible for real estate negotiation? That will be the responsibility for that will be on EDC. The manager will be in charge of real estate negotiations, although the community partner will be very helpful on helping us out, look for potential businesses that need space and things like that. I don't know if David wants to add a little bit on that front.
No, I think you said it, Sonia. I mean, just as the governance structure kind of called out, we are in charge of leasing. But we certainly welcome input from the community partner in terms of candidates or good business or viable businesses that may be interested. We want to keep that pathway and that pipeline open, and just as we have at Friends. Hey, this might be a good candidate. Have you guys considered X? No, we haven't. Thank you, community partner. Let's drive that down. So yeah, we welcome that input, but I think ultimately EDC has to have the final say in terms of tenanting selection.
Great. Is it possible for establishments to obtain a liquor license via the New York, liquor license? So in the RFP that we put out, we would like the community partner to actually get all the permits and specifics for any events that will be hosting at the market sites. That includes like liquor license or any TPAs or any noise compliance permits, anything that require any type of permits in regard to events. We would put that on the market partner to kind of get them. On that regard also, I don't know, maybe Anne would want to add something on the liquor license regard. All right.
Can I ask one question on the liquor license, please?
Yeah.
So when we do events, and specifically like one-off events, we usually partner with a catering company that has a existing liquor license, given that the process and the liability of carrying a liquor license is pretty significant. Are you looking for the partner to secure their own liquor license to operate within the space, or can that partner work with
You breaking up?
who have the adequate liquor license in place?
You just broke up in the middle of the sentence. Sorry. Can you repeat that?
Sure. So, when we do events, for most part, we work with third-party caterers that will carry the liquor license. Are you looking for the community partner to secure their own liquor license, or are you open to each event, depending on the need, working with a caterer that will be able to provide the adequate license?
We have in the past do it through our community partners of the host of the event, and also through the person the third party that has provided their own liquor license. For example, we had a night market this past Christmas, and we had a vendor selling liquor there, and they got their own license as well. So it goes both ways. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So will a Hopper Kitchen in any form still be in operations, or will the community partner be responsible for the former Hopper Kitchen spaces? Any other existing relationships? So right now, Hopper Kitchen eventually will move to Brooklyn, but in the interim, we did extend their lease until December. So they will occupy that space in Building 4 that we showed to all of you. and they will still occupy the incubator space in Kitchen 3 in Building 3 for now. And at the end of this term, we're trying to look for, as EDC and the market manager, try to look for somebody that will take the space over, but we haven't negotiated that yet. That will come in the later months before they leave the space. David, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you called it exactly as it is. And they're vacating December 2020 is their planned vacate date. And, you know, we have to now think through what that space will look like after they leave. I mean, they're working now with an existing B Corp business in East Harlem as an interim takeover entity that's, again, mission aligned in a similar way that they are. So there's that step, and then there's the step of, oh, and what happens with redevelopment, and those buildings will change again. But our goal is to tenant the space and to really make sure that it's providing service to East Harlem, it's supporting small business initiatives in East Harlem, and it's creating jobs for East Harlem residents as best we can. And selecting the right candidate to do all of that is kind of what we're thinking about and what it's important to us.
Yeah. Next question. If any construction is needed, is the community partner responsibility? No, that will be on EDC part to deal with. The community partner would not have any responsibility on the construction needs. Next question, will there be potential grant funding via the NYC EDC to help offset operation cost? So we do have a grant department that could facilitate to the community partner and help them get grants and like help them through that process. But as an organization or corporation, you'll be able to do your own fundraising to kind of raise the money for the offset of the operating costs. Any questions, David? You want to add anything?
Just saying, yeah, are those all the questions that were submitted?
Two more.
Can I just ask one follow-up to that last question that was answered? So are you saying for the community partner, for their operational staff, that it's on them to pay for that, but you would be willing to help offset that with supporting grants? Is that correct?
We can facilitate, as we have a department that deals with grant to help the community partner get some grants.
And as far as, just to follow up to that, as far as events being hosted, is that on the community partners as well, or would you be looking to offset those costs?
David, what do you mean by, I guess we envision, we would, like for example, at Essex Market, our community partner, that contract fee that we pay them covers the cost of an on-site community engagement manager. They then create a calendar, they create events, they action on those events, and sometimes there are ancillary costs that we will cover, for example, the printing and advertising of those events, but the base contract usually covers all the other costs for them. And that's part and parcel of the contract.
Understood.
Yeah, two more questions for the submitted questions, and then we go to the questions that we got today. Is the entire concept food related, or will there be other businesses such as movie theaters? I think, and just touch base on what the uses for the spaces as the agri-market law pertain. So it will be anything food related, tenant relationships there, and creating wholesome community events that pretty much kind of embody, but yes, it will be like, the concept will be mostly food related events and community. Is it possible to obtain a cabaret license for live music community events? I think if the partner would want to do that, it will be on the partner's will to kind of do it and get their own permits for those cabaret licensing. All right, so going to the chat, the first question here, do they currently have a marketing and branding consultant on retainer? As La Marqueta, we do not. David, do we have anything for the public markets as a whole, or?
So that's a good question, David Nee. We presently do not have a marketing and branding consultant. We did release an RFP in April for a citywide marketing and branding, marketing and strategy consultant. It's presently on hold because of COVID and other issues. And I don't foresee it being picked up in the near future. But we would like to pick it up at some point in the foreseeable future. And the goal would be to have, again, a global marketing and strategy consultant, maintaining the website, maintaining the citywide public markets brand and mission, and then working locally with the individual community partners to make sure that, you know, there's communication, that they're on the same page, and they're facilitating and helping promote in a more global fashion. It would be kind of a two-step process, but not presently, hopefully in the foreseeable future.
Also, insurance requirements, any flexibility in the 25 million maritime rider. So the requirements for the markets and events, like it says, certificate of insurance, mostly like up to $6 million. Also, you need auto insurance and disability, workers' comp, property insurance, and things like that, but nothing that will go up to $25 million. And yes, the property is under maritime, but it's just kind of, this is like a very distinctive thing. It's just back in the day when we acquire it, that's where the property was assigned to, but it is on the public market, pretty much law that we rule. So
Thank you for answering that.
Yeah. I think I answered the liquor license questions. Can you share brand guidelines, David?
Yes, we have the public markets brand guidelines. Happy to share them. We don't have anything really cohesive for La Marqueta. We have a logo for La Marqueta. And if we do change it, I think it would be a very collaborative process where we bring vendors in and we bring friends in if we wanted to make those changes. There were talk and discussions about upgrading the La Marqueta logo and tagline. And we'd welcome the community partners' role in that going forward.
Are the events free to the public? Are we allowed to do private events, fundraising events, or do all events need to be open to the community? So yes, free events to the public. This is, we wanna keep La Marqueta open to the East Harlem community and the locals. We have done fundraisings in the past with other entities, and you potentially could do that, no problem. But we always put the caveat of tickets need to be, certain amount of tickets need to be going to the community and maybe at a lower price. So like a portion of the community should participate, even if it's a private event or if it's a fundraising in these events. I don't know if I answered the question or like this, like a follow-up on it.
You know, that was helpful. I think for us, it was more about potentially hosting like a gala event yearly to raise funds for the initiatives that are trying to be incorporated into the market.
Yeah, and that will be great. And as long as you like can advertise it as like certain amount of tickets are going to the East Harlem community and like they have access to this kind of like events, it will be allowed, no problem. When does year first start given COVID? So with that, it's just like after this call, we have certain parameters, as hopefully you all know, and I will discuss again later. By August 25th, everybody that wants to submit proposals should be submitting them. Then after that, we'll look at all the proposals. We had to like choose the most that we think that are, you know, more that covers what we need for the space. And we are projecting, and this is not written in stone, maybe by November, having a partner on board. It could be a little before, it could be a little later than that, but that's the projection. With COVID, and I think I'm gonna enter into the next question, which is the virtual programming. That could be an option to do virtual programming, and we are going to encourage the community partner that we choose to do that. because like given the circumstances, most of these events cannot be held, you know, in person. So yes, there's an opportunity to do short-term virtual programming on La Marqueta as well. Like hopefully as we get out of this situation, maybe by next summer, we can have actually full events in person and we can continue. The next question here, sorry. It is possible to get floor plans with dimensions and elevations of La Placita and overall the market as well. We do have some plans with some dimensions that we can include on the package that we're going to put on the website. So I'm just going to take a note of that, and then we can include those on it. It might not be super specific for all of the lots, but at least for La Placita, the market, Building 3, and some of them, we have some more detailed measurements for them. And then what is the legal occupancy for La Placita? So the legal occupancy for La Placita is 250 people at any given time. So if there's any events that will be surpassing that capacity, the community partner will have to submit a TPA for that specific event. And we had done that in the past. We do it with Salsa Saturdays last year, pretty much, like, and they submitted, and then for a whole month they were able to use it, and then you had to submit it monthly. But yeah, so La Placita is 250. The market, where also we can host like smaller events, is like 75 people, and lot 1 is also 75 people. So that also require, even if it's a bigger lot, that also requires a TPA, anything over 75. Okay, next question. Has a report been generated that evaluated in detail the past consultants' work? What worked, what didn't? Maybe you want to speak on that?
Sure.
David?
No, we haven't. There's nothing. We have not generated a report, but you know, we certainly have experiences and lessons learned from past consultants' work. I think, you know, the general struggle, I think, with most consultants is EDC is quite a bureaucratic and large corporation. We are careful how we move because of public-facing projects. Our timelines can be very long and protracted. Part of the ploy here, or the play for us, is, you know, a community partner will be nimble and entrepreneurial and will be able to circumvent some of that process, a bureaucratic process. There are things that, you know, EDC struggle to do, for example, putting on events because of being the city. But I would say, you know, if I'm to answer the question, I would say, you know, Alexandria, that communication, just communication, and being proactive in terms of anticipating needs and process is kind of where past consultants have struggled with us. And we've struggled with past consultants, being hyper organized, being proactive in terms of communication, and anticipating what's coming up are 3 areas that consultants should certainly be mindful of.
Okay. So the next question is, do you offer print and online marketing efforts in English and Spanish? Yes, we do have also a marketing department that, like David said, we're going to have an ancillary extra budget for all the printing materials and designs. So we can make any printing material in English and Spanish, and we do so currently.
I'd just say one thing about that too, Jasenia.
Mm-hmm.
I say, you know, if this, in your submission, the more we can have the community partner own in this, the faster we can move things. Like, for example, if you create collateral or you create language for a flyer or for a promotional campaign, and it has to go to EDC marketing for a review and translation, you know, it can add weeks to the process. So, you know, we will look favorably on a candidate who can say, yeah, we're fluent in Spanish, bilingual, we can do our own in-house translation, and we can get stuff moving very quickly. We've struggled with that in the past, but we do have it. But again, it's the play here is to avoid the mechanism of EDC getting involved as much as possible, so it's fast and nimble.
Can I interject here, though, just in relation to that kind of marketing?
My assumption is even if the community partner does put together a bilingual piece, somebody from EDC still has to approve. Is that not correct?
Alan, that's very correct.
Yeah.
Although we've gotten to the position at Essex where that doesn't even happen anymore because now we have a good relationship and we trust our community partner, and we've skipped that step oftentimes. Sometimes if it's very sensitive, you'll create a copy, it'll go to the Public Affairs Department at EDC
Great.
on the topic. Oftentimes during COVID, we did a lot of this with Essex because of that, just careful messaging. But that's usually pretty quick. It's just like, here's copy, looks good, here's a couple of tweaks, good to go.
Fantastic. Thanks for the info. Appreciate it.
All right. So can you elaborate on community outreach efforts in the East Harlem area? Is there on-the-ground relationship building currently happening? So the community outreach, normally as we do it, we like to include partners like Community Board 8, Community Board 11, some of the schools around the area, and we utilize also people that are influential in the area that has Instagram accounts or Facebook accounts, and they help us out get the word. I will say on that regard, there's many organizations in the East Harlem that can help the partner, can help EDC to branch out to the community and get wholesome events and just kind of for the market to feel that that the community to feel that the market is being inclusive to them. So, but currently, like I said, we do communicate with the schools, Community Board 11, Community Board 8, but that's not to say that the market partner cannot branch out to other entities as well.
And just one point on that's kind of where Friends of La Marqueta will come in. I envision going forward when we have our monthly meetings with Friends of La Marqueta that the community partner will be part of that process. And they're an asset. These are constituents of the neighborhood, so they'll be able to help. We can raise concerns or questions or ideas there, and they can help actually promote and do outreach for us too.
Which that enters in the next question, which is there an on-the-ground relationship building currently happening? So Friends of La Marqueta, like David said, does help us with that aspect of it. Can you elaborate on some of the hurdles that vendors are experiencing joining La Marqueta? Are their fees or licenses are cost prohibited? So the hurdle will be mostly the fees of La Marqueta are super low in terms of rent wise. It's more the process and the insurances they need to get, and some of that elevates the cost, as well as they had to input at the first sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. They had to have financially be a little stable to be able to input in their stalls, because they are the ones that build in it. Because we turn in a vanilla box with water and electricity, and they will have to incur in some costs to kind of build out the space. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry that I got a little tripped up there. And also, like I said, the insurances and the process is a little long, so some of them get a little frustrated. We're still working on it. We're trying to kind of curtail a little bit more so we can get people in faster and get it tenanted. And that's where also the community partner will come in. Maybe we can put all our heads together and come up with a better solution for that, and maybe a more shortened process to be more effective. All right.
Folks, I'm just really mindful of time. We have about 10 minutes left, so we'll continue to take through these questions. If we don't get to all of them, we have, I think I'm looking at I think it's August 11th is the deadline for question submission. But we'll do our best right now to get through as many as we can. So let's just keep going.
Yes, so I have a couple, 6 more. Is there an incumbent for this RFP? No, we're just putting it out. We're just gonna get everybody that want to participate and send proposals can, and the deadline will be August 25th until at 11:59. That's the deadline for everybody to send in their proposals. And then after that, we're just gonna look at all those proposals and choose whoever is the most fitted to be our community partner. what are the general opening hours? Do you have evening events? So the opening hours right now are Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 9 to 6, Thursdays through Saturdays, 10 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 5. Mondays we're closed. And yes, we can have evening events. We just had to extend a permit, and we have, like I said, we have many events like at the night market, fundraising we have done that go up to 10 p.m. And that's the cap because we are so close to other buildings that we cannot be past 10 doing like events with music and things like that. So yes, evening events are welcome. Hold on, my screen got blocked with other things. Sorry about that. Have corporate partners express interest in collaborating or sponsoring events at La Marqueta? I wouldn't say not so much a corporate partners, but like we had partners like Acacia that has been our partner and has done Salsa Saturdays and other events at the market. And we have extended them permits. So yeah, for the community partner, we encourage them to accept other organizations that want to do events, not necessarily the events that the community partner want to do, but they're from the community and they want to like do a specific event to extend permits and extend availability of the space to them.
Here, can
I'm
you
sorry?
go through? Oh, is there a question? Go ahead. Is there a question? Okay, I'll jump on. Let me just jump to the next question.
Yeah.
Can you go through once again the elements EDC will underwrite under this contract and what the selected market partner would be responsible for? I think everything outside of the cost of printing and advertising will be included. So I would envision, and this is again part of your plan. It doesn't have to be an on-site, but I think it's very important that there is a staff position as part of this proposal. So staffing, event planning, execution, and the cost of event execution will be part and parcel of this contract. There may be some additional funds to support some of those costs, but the goal is that and I think the next question I can answer too, we're looking at up to 150K, I think, per year is what was called out in the RFP. So gauge and craft your submissions based in and around that budget. And just to be very clear, there is a separate budget. The amount is TBD, but again, we can help pay for advertising and printing costs, which can be prohibitive sometimes. But hopefully that answers your question.
So, and there's a question here, since we're not anticipating to have a community partner until November, what are our plans for the fall season? So right now the Placita is under construction and it's going to be available in the fall. So we're looking into, with some of the partners that already have like hosted some events there, and we could extend some permits to just do like just small events, or like even we can do also like online events as well, but like we will be doing that more into September when the Placita is ready and available.
I'll do the next one, Desenia. Alan asked the question about, again, if a community partner does salsa night or poetry nights, who comes up with the funding? Again, the 150K is the base contract amount. You should craft your proposal and your calendar of events based on that amount. So it will be on the community partner to use the existing 150K to cover the cost of these events like salsa night and or poetry nights. Sometimes there'll be outliers outside of that where EDC will step in, or sometimes the council member may step in, but generally I would think that the onus is on the community partner and the called out budget. Yes, Gus, we can make the slide presentation available. I've just realized I have not recorded this, and I apologize. I think one of the candidates is doing that right now, but I will certainly make the slide presentation available. I'll I'll just do the next one. Elizabeth, will EDC cover underwriting insurance and related operating costs? I understand that EDC will underwrite a position to be dedicated to the project to implement on a day-to-day basis the market partner plan with related expenses. Is that correct? Does EDC have an overall budget figure for the market partner to work within the development of its plan? I think I just answered that, Elizabeth. I hope I did. You know, like COVID has certainly thrown a spanner in the works, as we'd say in Ireland, into this whole thing. EDC is now, you know, reevaluating its overall budget for obvious reasons. It's a hard time for everybody, but you know, we're determined to go forward with this RFP. We're determined to fund it at up to 150,000 per year, and in terms of insurance, you know, EDC has insurance, liability insurance or general liability insurance for La Marqueta. There are sometimes mechanisms that we can use to help third parties enter onto the site and execute on events and programming in a cost-effective way. There are mechanisms that we have in place that make it affordable. We'd also expect as community partner to have the appropriate liability insurance as well that would help facilitate the creation of events and programming in a quick manner. Aurora, on the proposal, what do you mean by detailed info around printing capabilities? I mean, basically, you know, I know from the other community partners that, you know, they might create floor decals, they might create decals to go on the glass of La Placita.
Okay, okay.
They'll create that artwork, but it's expensive to print that. And, you know, you would run through 150,000 budget very quickly doing that work. We can do some of it in-house, but I want you to think about it. And also if you're putting an ad in El Puente, for example, or El Diaro, you would have an extra cost there that we would supplement outside of the 150K. That's how we're approaching it. So, I mean, I would envision this 150K in two ways. It's covering an on-site staff person, be that full-time or part-time. It's also covering your cost of event execution and setup and breakdown. Those are the two primary things that your contract, base contract is covering. Okay, Stuart, is the heating and cooling in the facility, is there? Yes, in the main buildings, no in La Placita presently. We struggled with that last winter. We are reevaluating what we can do in that space, but given what we know from MTA, we're now second guessing putting any more money into that plaza. So we may have a situation where we have winter events inside of La Marqueta and spring, summer, and autumn inside of La Placita. I would certainly advise you all to go visit the site and walk it just to see firsthand the landscape up there. The marketing is part of too, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of digital marketing, yes, you know, all of that is free. Instagram, newsletters, all of that is part and parcel of the 150K. The labor and time and content generation costs are part of that. Paid media is needed. It certainly is, Cindy. That's part of a global plan that's outside of this current RFP. But we are mindful of that, and we ran through a substantial amount of money last fall on a paid media plan for 6 to 8 weeks for the public markets in general. We'd like to do more of that, but again, given what we've experienced with COVID, we've had to put the brakes on many of our initiatives right now.
I want to note that it's 12:31 right now. Like, if you have any more questions that you want answers for, we are gonna answer them and post them all in the EDC website that I encourage you to go to. And I'm about to put it on the chat, so just give me a second and I'll put it in there for you guys.
And Richard, yes, you can currently walk through La Marqueta. I mean, it's what's open to the public presently. You know, you can see Lot 8. Lot 6 and 7 is Urban Garden Center. It's a community, it's a garden center, it's a business. It's certainly open for business and you can walk through that. La Placita is presently locked because it's not 100% complete right now, but you can actually look into the site. You'll see what the interior very easily. The public market is open, as Jasenia said, on Thursdays and Fridays. So you can walk into that as well at 115th Street. Building Hopper Kitchen and Building 3 are really production centers, and not open to the public. But if you wanted to schedule a visit, we could certainly coordinate something as well if that was.
Perfect. Thank you.
I
And then
also, yeah, go ahead.
one you can actually just walk down and see as well. They're basically fenced in lots with so you can see that too.
So I just posted the EDC website where all this information, the presentation, the questions and answers, and everything else will be posted for your information and for you to kind of look at them if you need more. All right.
Oh, and folks, just one parting thought. There is a public-facing brochure that I did mention that was published, and it's available. We can certainly share that too. It was a printed concept plan brochure that really articulates the vision for La Marqueta. It's worth looking at. We will make that available to the group. We will share the existing brand guidelines as requested. We will share floor plans to the best of our ability as requested. Remember, questions are still welcome and due on August 11th, I believe. Deadline.
By 5 p.m. So August 11th by 5 p.m. Any extra questions that we haven't gotten in the chat are welcome. And also by August 18, we are going to post all this information in the website. So look for it after August 18th. Okay.
So with that said, I'd like to thank you all for your participation. I hope we've addressed your concerns and answered your questions, and we look forward to your submissions.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You
Have a good day.
too.